All right. I think we are live. I think we are live. Yeah. All right. There we are. So let's happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Let's see if we can make a fire here. It rained and snowed last night and a little bit this morning, so it's still kind of damp out here, but that's all right. Let's see what we can do here. It's a little damp, but I've got birch bark, and this'll light up real quick. And as a little bit of a cheat, I'm just gonna lay this cardboard down on the bottom. It just keeps all the dampness and the moisture coming from up from underneath and affecting the fire. So I'm just gonna make this a little base and build on top of this with some birch bark. We're gonna get this ripping here pretty quick. Hello, Carla Burton. Good to see you. I hope you guys can hear me all right. Good to see you, Carla and Lemon Pie. Good to see you. And we had William Shakespeareberg in the chat there. Hello, good to see you as well. So yeah, let's see if we can get this going real quick here. Time me. Let the clocks begin. And I'm just going to sort of make a little bit of a TP shape around the fire. I just put a whole bunch of birch bark in there on top of some charcoal burned pieces from a previous fire. And yes, I'm expropriating the word teepee. I have Rod Thunderheart's approval. Rod, if you're out there, man, I'll send you a link. I'd love to have you on here. All right. So it's important to have a lot of air, right? The old triangle of fire, you need heat, you need fuel, and you need air. So a lot of people make a mistake and they pile the wood in there and there's not a chance for air to get in there. So I think we did pretty good there. Then we'll just stack some more wood loosely around it, keeping lots of room for air to come in there. All right. All right. I think this is ready to light. I think she's ready to light, folks. Now, and I want to light the birch bark in there, so it's important to leave a spot so you can stick in the lighter or whatever you might be using to light this. So let's light this up and get a fire going here. Happy Friday, folks. Happy weekend. Carla, I know it's Saturday where you are. Birch bark will start a fire much easier than cardboard, in my experience. Much easier. And here's another little trick: if you're finding you've got good embers and lots of heat for your fire, that's fine. But it's also sometimes nice to have light. Like I've had fires here, or bonfire streams, where there's lots of heat, lots of embers, but because there's not a lot of flame, it's still pretty dark. And so if you want a little more light to be able to see the people you're talking to, any of this good bark, this good thick bark, I think this is from a spruce tree, fir tree is similar, and the bark will flame up and give you quite a bit of light. So that's something else to know about. That didn't take long. What's that? Less than a minute from when I lit it, I think. And that's ripping pretty good now. All right, we got a fire going, folks. That wasn't so bad at all. All right. Yeah, that's all. That's pretty good, folks. All right. Let's see who else has joined us in the chat. I don't think that took very long at all. Hello, 11 Pi, Carla Burton. William Shakespeareberg in the chat says, you are live and only about 21 days left till shortest day of the year. And we turn back to growing daylight up here, thankfully. Yep, you're right. It's funny when people think winter starting December 21st up here, it means days are short and dark and cold. But actually, technically, December 21st is when the days start getting longer and brighter. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, December 21st, man. 3 more weeks. 3 more weeks of it getting darker and colder. Son of a bitch. There. That's a fire. That's quite nice. That's quite nice. All right. Like that, I picked that up in Mexico. Very cool. I just couldn't resist. All right. And, oh, hey, Edge of Time. Hey, welcome. 420, Friday roll call. You're right. I happen to have some 420 material. That's right. We started right at 420 Central, 220 Pacific. And since a friend of mine was very generous with his supply, I happen to have one of those right here. I don't need a lighter, I guess, do I? Although this could go wrong. This could go very, very wrong. hello to everybody. And Carla Burton has to drive, so she can't troll the chat. Well, that is one of the highlights of having you in the chat, Carla, because you troll pretty good. Not in a malicious way, but yeah, you troll pretty good. Mind you, Edge of Time, I think, is trolled a little bit as well from time to time, and I think most of us have. Oh, you can hear me? Oh, thanks. Excellent. Thanks, Carla. William Shakespeareberg in the chat says, Carla Burton. During the peak of daylight here in Pacific Northwest, June 21st at 10 p.m., there's still a sliver of blue in the sky. That is right. I grew up in Fredericton, New Brunswick on the East Coast. I remember working roofing, still being, in the middle of the summer, it was light until 10:30 p.m. just because of our latitude on the Earth, which is spherical, of course. But I remember going all around Australia, and because of their position, latitude, various latitudes, it would get dark. Even in their summer, it was 10 o'clock, it was 8 o'clock, 8 p.m., 8:30. Yeah, I haven't seen days stay light until 10:30 at night, really anywhere but Canada. I'm sure anywhere along the same latitude would, but yeah, I haven't been there in the middle of summer anywhere along that latitude. But yeah, it's fantastic. You can get so much done during the day. It's light until 10:30. Excellent for working outdoors. And William Shakespeareberg says, and at the peak of winter, December 21st, about 4:30 p.m. is dark. Yeah, it's 4:20 now, buddy. In less than 2 hours, it'll be dark here for sure. You're right. And we still have 3 more weeks of getting little by little darker each day. Although because it's a parabola, incrementally the changes get shorter and shorter as we get to or less and less, smaller and smaller until we get to December 21st. So yeah, that's a good observation. It's fascinating science, man. Learning about universal physics and how galaxies work, it's just fantastic. And it's funny how you can compare those to how the atomic universe works, on the atomic level. It's very similar, strikingly similar physics involved there. So yeah, it's just unbelievable. I loved all that stuff. And it's too quiet? Quiet? All right. We can definitely change that. Can you hear the fire at all? Or is it just me flapping my gums? You like the chainsaw in the background? Yep. This guy's electric. There's the big honking battery there. There, the camera's up there. That's a 48-volt electric chainsaw. And I like it because you can still listen to AC/DC while you're out using this. And you can still talk to your friends. And as soon as you take I don't mind going in the woods alone with that and running it way up in the hills. You shouldn't do that with a regular gasoline chainsaw, really. The biggest difference for safety is that as soon as I take my finger off the trigger on this electric chainsaw, the chain stops moving instantaneously. The gasoline chainsaw is not the case. Take your finger off and it still does run a little bit. So yeah, I feel really comfortable running this. And you know what? It's handy. I wouldn't mind having a second or even a third battery for it though. But that's almost the battery. The spare battery for this is almost as expensive as the saw itself. So yeah, I haven't gone that way yet. Oh, 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Yes, Edge of Time. Yeah, so welcome to the Friday bonfire stream. I've been waiting for a good time to have a bonfire and light this up. And I like having it in the daytime too, because it's a lot easier for me to set things up and see what the hell I'm doing out here. And this time of day, there's not a lot. I know Friday nights are busy on YouTube, especially with Friday Night Frolics with Doomcock. So this is wearing the red Doomcock ring today. And so yeah, I figured this afternoon, boy, this is too warm. That is warm. That's lovely. That is lovely. Too quiet. I hope you can hear it now. Edge of time. I'm hoping. Let's see about the settings here. And let's turn the microphone up as loud as she'll go. There. Can you hear the fire now? Wait, what a coincidence. It is 4:20 at 4:20. Yeah, I should. And it is Saturday, yeah, in where my little brother lives. Shout out to Patrick in Western Australia. And, of course, it is also Saturday where Carla Burton is. Good dry seasoned wood. It is. It's been out here. It's been out here for quite a while. I mean, it gets a little bit of wet on it, but I've left the bark on it, as you can see. So that tends to keep the inner wood dry until I cut it up and throw it on the fire here. Not enough air and you have smoke. That's exactly right, Ray. Yeah, Ray Lucard has a very good, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Yeah, you get air in there and you don't get the smoke. And you see how if you get heat, and of course air is crucial, that you get heat in there, a hot fire, the smoke is relatively invisible and it goes straight up. And in fact, I know some people, when they burn wood in their homes, in their wood stove, they peel the bark off of their wood so that the bark contains a lot of moisture, and so it doesn't burn as cleanly. So some of the people will actually take the time to strip the bark off and just burn barkless wood, and they claim it's a lot cleaner in the fire. It certainly burns nice. And so if you have a fire where there's not a lot of heat, the smoke sort of stays low and sort of chokes everyone out around the fire, so that's no bueno. So yeah, lots of air and lots of heat, and the smoke goes straight up, and it's more clear. It's a lot nicer for a bonfire. There are no coincidences here at the edge of time. I believe that. I don't. Yeah, the older I get, the less I believe in coincidence. You're not wrong. Shit, there's a whole lot of things going on in the world now that maybe 10 years ago I would have not really thought about. I think, it's just a coincidence. Now, holy shit, I have to question myself, all the time. Some of these conspiracies are becoming true. Oh, hey, James, good to see you. Welcome to the Friday Fire Bond Stream. We got wood to go for days here, but I think I'll just go for another hour until I know Admiral Teague is going to do his Friday live stream. So I'll just fit myself in nicely between the Comic Relief Crusader. I know Mike just finished his, and Admiral Teague. Hi, Susan Dolan. Susan Dolan is saying hello to Matt G, otherwise known as Taylor Swift is greater than Disney Star Wars MCU. Good to have you here too. Yeah, I hope you can hear the fire okay. Let me know if it's either too loud or not loud enough, and I'll see what I can do. Saying hello to everybody. Good to have you here on a nice Friday afternoon. It's perfect for a bonfire. Hey, Dadman Walking. Good to see you. I know Mrs. Dadman Walking stream this morning. I had a late night last night, so I know she started at 6 a.m. Pacific. I was not coherent or awake at 6 a.m. Pacific. I think it was more like 10 a.m. I got up. So, yeah, I hope she had a good stream. One day I aspire to be awake at 6 a.m. and catch her streaming. But yeah, good to have you here, Dadman Walking. And I'm glad you like the campfire streams. Glad people know each other here in the chat. Yeah, I should get a beer. I don't have a beer yet. Just brought the water for now. It's been a heck of a... Hi, Nipper. I have the dog from the area has joined. Oh, and the kitty's following it. Hello, kitty, kitty. See if we can get the kitty to come on camera. Hi, kitty, 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 kitty. I don't know if cats go too close to flames. Nah? Nope. Nope. We had a cat almost join us, but I think the fire scared the cat off. Yeah. So this is perfect size. I don't want to go too big because you know we're not going to be going. Some of my streams go all night long, and I'll have the wood piled right up high. Maybe later tonight we can do that after Friday Night Frolics, because this will still be hot, still be warm. Not expected to have snow just yet. Hello to everybody. Good to have you here, Matt G. Excellent. Oh, and it looks like we have a friend coming over. A local friend is coming over with the kitty. Hello.
That's a whiskey.
Hi. Oh, hey. That's a kitty. I'm just having a little bonfire stream with the friends.
I'll poke him in.
Kitty, yeah. Oh, what? Yeah, there's the camera right there. Yeah. What's the cat's name?
Whiskey.
Hi, Whiskey. Good. And here's Nipper. Hi, Nipper. Hello. Hi, Nipper. Hi. Yeah, this is Nipper. Good dog, Nipper. Yeah. I don't have it. See, when I shot the deer, Nipper would come visit, and I'd have deer bones. And I don't have any deer bones left. I made soup out of them all.
Sorry, Nipper.
Sorry, Nipper. Yeah, I know you're such a happy dog, but I don't have any deer bones.
He's like, okay, I'm
No,
good.
okay, I'm gone.
Hi, Nipper. Say bye.
Thanks for coming over, Whiskey. Thanks. I'll come over later. We'll have a beer.
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah, that was Nipper and Whiskey. Nipper's awesome. He's like this wide. He's a well-fed, happy dog. And people saying hello. Hey, good to see you. All right. Miskatonic Madman, welcome. Welcome to the bonfire. Think of Edge of Time was referring to being too quiet at the peak of winter. Oh, okay. So now the volume is probably too loud. Well, I'm sure someone commented on that. Hopefully you can hear everything. Yeah, it is quiet. You know what? It is quiet. Even the animals. I went hunting the last week and have noticed a serious lack of animal activity. I mean, they're there, but they're not moving around. I think it's just colder now, and it's not light for very long. And as opposed to in the end of September or October, when you'd go out in the woods, there'd be animals all over the place. But yeah, this last couple of weeks even, it's gotten colder and darker, and I think the animals are just sort of like the humans too. I've noticed that around our little area too, that people are just maybe staying around a little closer to home right now, and preparing maybe for the upcoming holiday season, which I guess December 1st. Yeah, shit, I can change my avatar here. Let's just change that to this guy right now. There we go. That is the Christmas. That's actually me in my suit with a hat that doesn't quite fit. But yeah, that's the Christmas avatar. All right, let's get back to the chat. It's been the best time ever for disclosure. Yeah, all around. Yeah, you're right. Don't even get us started into the UFO stuff as well as political. Fire audio is coming through 5x5. Thank you, William Shakespeare, but hopefully I probably made it too loud. Now let's do. I'll put that back to automatic. I thought it was too quiet. So, yeah, automatic. There we go. Hopefully that's a little better. And Dadman Walking says it's fine. She did, and she shouted you out first. Thanks. Oh, good. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, Mrs. Dadman Walking, I really aspire to either wake up at 6 or still be awake at 6 in the morning, which around this neighborhood friggin' happens. Never thought I'd be having all-nighters at 50, but that's just the way it is around here. And not about to be done with that sort of shenanigans any decade soon. Let me friggin' tell you about that. Susan Dolan says, has anybody had time to watch Godzilla -1 yet? Lorena Creole. Oh, shout out to Lorena Creole. She's based out of Florida. I've been following her channel for shit since the pandemic now. And yeah, she's a lot of fun. Shout out to her. Drunk 3PO as well. Both gave it a 9 and 8 out of 10. Yeah, 8 and 9 out of 10. Okay. Keep in mind, from my perspective, as much as I like Drunk 3PO and Lorena Creole, I tend to find maybe they're a little more optimistic with their reviews than I am personally. Maybe they're not as I'm a little more demanding, perhaps. We'll see. Carla Burton says, hi, Whiskey and Nipper. And Anonymous. Yeah, that's my neighbor. That's my neighbor. Good to have it from the Nova Scotia area. So a fellow East Coaster living out in British Columbia. There are a hell of a lot of East Coast people living out in British Columbia. That's a good Friday afternoon topic, actually. Moving around the country, political boundaries. I find it really changes your perspective when I've lived for 25 years on the east coast of New Brunswick, east coast of Canada in New Brunswick, right beside Maine. And then I've lived 26 years here in British Columbia. Well, no, that's not true. There's a few years spent outside of Canada, probably 5 all up. But basically half and half on both coasts. And it really does change your perspective. And people move to British Columbia because for me, it was the mountains and the fact that people don't stay indoors all winter. We spend most of our time outside in British Columbia for the most part, in my experience, living in Whistler Ski Resort and here. And we're always having bonfires, things like that. But on the East Coast, people tend to hibernate all winter long, and it affects their health and just their attitude as well, I think. And so that's a generalization. My friends and sister that's still back out east, they're quite active in the winter, but they're the exception. It's a cultural difference out here. I think people are more in British Columbia. Maybe people are outdoors more, in general. But that was a big attraction for me. And mountains. Growing up with no mountains, there's mountains in British Columbia. When I first saw the mountains driving into Calgary from out east, and you're driving and you see this little ridge of mountains. Calgary's just before in the foothills. You're driving to Calgary on the Trans-Canada. So we only have one road. And seriously. And you can see this little ridge, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because you're driving across the prairies it's like the Nullarbor in Australia. You're driving for days, it seems. 15 hours from Ontario to Calgary straight. And the mountains just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden it's flat and then just boom, mountains. Unbelievable. So that was incredible. And that's why I'm here. There's more opportunity here. It's more multicultural as far as restaurants go, although that is changing out East Coast. Um, and the freedom out here, people, you have to conform a lot more when you're on the East Coast. And yeah, that I don't jive with that. So I guess that's part of the why I'm out here as well. A cat named Whiskey. It's a perfect name. You're right, William Shakespeare, Greg. And if I had whiskey, I would have toasted my neighbor and Whiskey the cat. Hey, look who it is, everyone. It's Mark D with a C. Good to see ya. Happy Friday. I'm just going to jazz up the bonfire here. And we'll get right back to the chat. And thanks for being here, everyone. There's 13 here. You're obviously here for the fire. So let's make it a little more impressive, shall we? I do have a fire poker over there, but it's too far away. Wow, that was unexpectedly hot. Fire hot. Bear with me, chap. Let's see if we can. Oh, looks like I've closed the air off over here. Let's open that up a bit here. Okay. Let's see what that is. That's a little more impressive. All right, yeah. Reasons to move to British Columbia. Yeah. And opinions may vary, but like I said, I've got 25 years experience on the East Coast and 20 some years living on the West Coast. The people out here tend to be outside in the winter, whether it's hiking or, we've got ski resorts around here. We've got Whistler Ski Resort just north of Vancouver, 2 hours, hour and a half. We have Big White is outside of Kelowna here. That's just an hour and a half from me, or 2 hours. Silver Star in Vernon, like an hour away. There's down south, Big Red, Apex, Nelson. Nelson is a town in the interior. It's not that far away. Excellent for skiing. It's got mountains there. Revelstoke. If you've heard of Revelstoke, that's an undiscovered gem in my opinion. Kicking Horse Mountain is up in that area, and that is just phenomenal. Now, the snow in the interior is really quite dry, and it's perfect for snowboarding, skiing, cross-country skiing, whatever you want to do. Ice fishing in the winter, hunting in the fall. People just getting out and having bonfires. There's not a weekend that doesn't go by here where one of our friends in the area here is having a bonfire, and like 10 people come over just to sit around and socialize and have a bonfire. And we also, this is the time of year to clean up brush that's around in our yards and in the hillsides around here. And we've got to get that taken care of before fire season starts up, because it'll just be fuel sitting on the forest floor. So there's a lot of that too. The East Coast tends to be, I don't know, at least in my experience there, people tend to sit indoors in the, on the East Coast, and a lot of people sitting playing computer games or watching TV all winter long. And William Shakespeareberg in the chat says, whiskey is also a good name for a horse. Did you know that every horse Kirk Douglas rode in Westerns was named Whiskey? I did not. That is a good name for a horse. You're right. See, that did pretty good. I just opened it up a little bit, and she roared right back to life. So that's all right. I'm happy with that. Yeah, good. Wow, thanks for being here, everyone. Yeah, hopefully we can get through this without me burning myself. Dadman Walking says, I agree. It's only my day job holding me back from constant nightmares. All-nighters. Oh, yeah, all-nighters. Yeah, right. Yeah, I stopped working there a month ago, and I intended to get more work for the fall, but honestly, I've been too busy hunting and gathering wood and getting the house in order, and getting my RV winterized and doing maintenance on that, as well as the vehicles. I don't know who has time for friggin' jobs, or kids for that matter. I don't know. Holy crap. Tidying up the garden for the fall, getting that ready. You got to sharpen the chainsaw. You got to do all these. There's always a million things to repair, seeing as how that's my vocation, is repairing things. I tend to do a lot of preventative maintenance too, which my landlord is probably pretty happy about. But yeah, it's busy. I don't know who the hell has time for jobs this time of year. And then going and spending time with your friends, and maybe some of your friends that are, some inevitably someone is going through some sort of life situation that maybe you should go and check in on them and hang out with them a little bit. And my brother and his family is around the corner, so you want to go spend as much time with them as well. So it's friggin' busy. I don't have time for working. Hello, Zombie Box Reviews. Hello and welcome to you. Yeah, good to have you here. And good to have you here. Not on the phone, so can't tag. Fair enough, Mark D with a C. We're just happy to have you at all. Lisa, hello to you. Hello and welcome. Good to have you here, Lisa. And PvP, hello. Caught you earlier. You just finished streaming before Comic Relief Crusader with Antidote Jill. I caught her Friday show, so it was good to see you up there as well with Scotty. And that Nerd Girl was on there as well, so I hadn't seen her streaming before, so it's glad to see her. And welcome to the community. Welcome to the show, PvP. And yeah, I'd like to talk more about the reasons that maybe people move to the West Coast from the East Coast. And everyone just saying hello to everyone. Hello, Sonia White. Hi. Welcome to the Friday bonfire here. We're just doing it in the daytime here. I mean, it's going to be dark in about, about an hour and a half here. So we're just trying to have a nice little afternoon bonfire. I giving a few tips on what I've learned in the Boy Scouts my whole life, lighting bonfires. It was a bit damp today, and I was just showing maybe some things I've learned about lighting fires and keeping them going. And yeah, you're right. PvP actually doesn't live very far from my present location. If we both started driving PvP, we could meet up in 45 minutes and have a beer. and yeah, so you know the area. There are world-class mountains around here. The Monashee Mountains, the Rocky Mountains, Nelson. What are those called? It's right on the yeah. Cranbrook is out there with those mountains. Yeah, there's mountains everywhere, and lots of ski resorts here. And that's something the East Coast doesn't really have. I mean, I grew up. There was a mountain in New Brunswick. The longest run was, I think, 10 minutes. Where here you go to Whistler Blackcomb and you can be snowboarding straight at full speed for half an hour. On one run. It's fantastic. So good to have you here. Carla Burton says, and she's in New Zealand. We have mountains everywhere in New Zealand, but it's the ocean I also love seeing. So where we live, we can see country mountains, suburbia, and ocean. All right. The same with anyone living in Vancouver or even Squamish, which is just an hour north of Vancouver. Yeah, they're right in the mountains, and the ocean is right there. The Howe Sound is right there. And although I will say, people on the West Coast play on the water. It's one thing I've noticed, East Coast, West Coast. Out in Vancouver area, Victoria, Vancouver Island, people on the West Coast tend to play on the water. Whereas in the East Coast, people play in the water, more swimming and things like that, scuba diving notwithstanding. Dad man walking. Dad man walking says, "Gotta run. See you always. Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you as well, Dad man." All right. Well, say hello to Mrs. Dadman for me, and thanks for being here. Everyone just saying hello, hello and hail. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, we get some Disney executives over the fire here. Be safe. Only you can prevent forest fires. That's right. We used to have Smokey the Bear come on and tell us that, and we don't have that anymore. That is too bad. We need Woodsy the Owl coming back and saying, "Give a hoot, don't pollute." We could use some of those on our public channels. I'd like to see those guys being advertised a little bit more. Tons of ski hills, yeah, absolutely. In the Okanagan here, yeah. Why don't I just make this a little easier here? There. Seems better. Yeah, I'm glad you like the fire, Sonia White. I've had this wood sitting here behind me for a couple of months now, and it was cut down long before that. And then, like I said, I put some cardboard down on the base because it had rained here last night and snowed, and you might be able to see some of the snow on the logs here. But so just to keep the fire off the dampness of the ground, I laid some cardboard down and made that a base. And it seemed to work pretty well. We got a nice bed of embers in there now, and we could probably cook a deer heart or a partridge or whatever else you wanted to on that. I love cooking over the fire there. And you know what? Let's see. Disney sheep herder saying hello to everybody. Hello and hi. And PVP says BC is the best province in Canada as far as I'm concerned. I would tentatively agree with that. However, if shit hits the fan again and there are lockdowns everywhere, BC was pretty quick to put restrictions on people's constitutional rights that I didn't agree with that. And I think Alberta might be a little more open to protecting people's constitutional rights. So, if shit hits the fan again, Alberta might be the best province for that. But in general, as things are right now, I would agree with that statement. I love BC. It's got mountains. It has lakes. It has seafood. It's got all kinds of wonderful things. The camping, the outdoor mentality. I think in British Columbia, uh, the, the people here really find excuses to get out in the open and outside as much as possible. And that I think is what attracted me. That's a big appeal for me. So I'd agree with that. And yes, that's right, Carla Burton. Comic, the Comic Relief Crusader has got monetized, and so he was able to get memberships going today. So that's wicked, and I have one, so that I'm quite happy about that. Saying hello to everyone. Edge of time. And yes, my rent reminds me that I have time for my job. Good point. Yes, PvP. I worked my ass off this summer, though. Long hours. And so, fortunately, my rent, because I do fix things around the house, I've got an arrangement where my rent is not that expensive. Honestly, my biggest expense is probably uh, alcohol in a month, I would say, followed by food, I suppose, and then rent. There's always something to do. To make it perfect, add on a few weeks. Exactly. There is always something to do. And running all around the planet. Well, that too, Sonia White. Yeah, I do love to travel and saving up money for running around the planet. I'd like to get down to Mexico down to Zihuatanejo. I've got friends down there now that I'd like to go visit. They're there all winter. And I'd love to get down there to Puerto Morelos over on the east coast of Mexico, on the Caribbean side. Shout out to Mike and Michelle over there. I'd love to go stay with them again. They were really generous with their spare room last time. So once I got down to Mexico, it wouldn't really be that expensive. It'd probably be the same price to stay down there as it is here, considering the overinflated price of food here. So maybe Mexico here this for a little while this winter. That is exactly right. Busy planning travel and traveling. The West Coast, again, comparing the West Coast of Mexico to the East Coast of Mexico, again, completely different. I've spent a fair bit of time on the East Coast of Mexico, and then last winter I spent 4 or 5 months on the West Coast, and the lifestyles there are completely different. Same country, but just different attitudes towards scuba diving and snorkeling and ocean play. Even the food is different east to west. West Kegel, hey, good to see you. I saw you earlier in Comic Relief Crusaders chat, so welcome. Hail Canadian Spider-Man, doing this a bit early. Yeah, a little bit early so that I don't interfere with Friday Night Frolics with Doomcock. I know Admiral Teague is going to stream a little later on. And so right now is the perfect time. I figured the Comic Relief Crusader was wrapping up and I'd get and it's still light enough where I can actually see what I'm doing to set up the computer and the microphone and get the fire going. But I'll probably have it going throughout the evening, and I might pop on after a while. Once it's pitch dark, and we'll still have it going. That's a picturesque fire pit. Well, thank you, Edge of Time. Thank you very much. Oh, Pleasant Valley Picker says, I was burning Vernon. So yeah, you've been in BC your whole life. Yep, it is a hell of a. So you're a little biased, but I happen to agree with you. BC is my favorite province. Although Montreal is a hell of a city, and so is Halifax in Nova Scotia. Um, I like those cities. Calgary during the Stampede, wow, there's nothing like it. Yeah. And you know what? I just spent some time in Manitoba, and there was some really good Thanksgiving out there. And Manitoba has some good folks there. Yeah. Depends on the job you have, too. My husband's a pilot, and there are limited places that you can be based in New Zealand. That is true. Yes. Kind of hard to, if you're not near an airport, it's kind of hard to be a pilot. It's been dark and rainy here all day. Yeah, it's kind of been like, I think you can see the sky up above. It's kind of been cloudy and rainy here all day too. Yep. Yeah, the Coast Mountains. Whistler is part of the Coast Mountains, right on the edge there. Saying hello to everybody. And PvP says, I spent 3.5 weeks in Ontario and didn't like it. Felt like a different country. It depends on where you are in Ontario. I've spent some time in London, Ontario, and that's a university town. And that is quite different from Toronto. When I was in Toronto, it kind of felt like I was in America. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying there, PvP. But London, Ontario, lovely people. Shout out to Marshall there. Um, yeah, I enjoyed London. And I think there's a little shop called Helen's Deli in London. And I hope that deli is still there because that was a hell of a good spot. And Zombie Box Review says, I've recently been binge watching all of Cardinal Sin's comment. R.I.P. Cardinal Sin. Yeah, R.I.P. Gil. Yeah, I was happy to be a part of a good deal of those streams. And yeah, I'm happy. He's one of the persons that gave me a lot of inspiration. So cheers. Yeah, I'd love to have a chance to have a bonfire chat with him again. That you're not wrong. And William Shake Spielberg, which is a wicked name, we've commented before, says West Coast. We got the epic surfing all the way from Mavericks up in the California Bay Area down to Chile in South America and everywhere in between. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The West Coast. I mean, you've got the Galapagos Islands. You know, just fantastic. The West Coast is fabulous. Although the Caribbean has just its own atmosphere. I really like the vibe on the Caribbean. Mind you, some surf towns in Costa Rica on the Pacific side, surf towns in California, I'm sure are similar. They've got their own unique vibe, but there's just something about the Caribbean vibe. You know, the steel drum music, the Jamaican influence. Yeah, I really enjoy the West Coast, but yeah, there are great things to say about both the East and the West. I would like to go to Chile. I haven't been farther south uh, on in South America. I think Ecuador is the furthest south I went, but I'd love to get down to Chile and Argentina. South America was colder than I expected. Right now, I'm into doing warm places, but I'd like to get to Chile eventually. And to me, BC is a good place to live as anywhere. Yeah, absolutely. Although I'd like to spend the winters somewhere warm and more south, PvP. The summer times, there's nothing like an Okanagan summer. I'll agree with you there. But the winter times, nah. Where's the crying Native American reminding people not to litter? That's right, Lisa. We had Woodsy the Owl telling people not to litter. You know, we had the Native American as a public service announcement telling people not to litter. Yeah, I wish we had. You know what? I think TV time and commercial time has gotten so expensive now that they don't bother to put those public service announcements on anymore. And maybe we're seeing the effects of that. Hey, I've noticed in my lifetime the litter has gone up in Canada a lot more than I'm happy with. Yeah, so maybe we need to bring back some of those commercials and stuff the commercial revenue. You know. Kathleen Kennedy's cooking very well on the old fire. Yeah, she's doing well. A bit of a smell, though, I'll tell you what. Yeah, general lifestyle. Yeah, general lifestyle. I'd agree. BC is wicked. And yeah, I never told people not to wear a mask. If they wanted to, that's fine. I just don't like being told to wear one, especially with the science that's come out surrounding everything they told us. It's pretty much absolutely false. We kind of weren't given any evidence because they didn't have any. So, yeah, I agree. In general, life in BC is it suits me better than anywhere else in Canada. I'd agree with that, PvP. Hey, Tiger Stripes, good to see you. Welcome. Just having a little fire here for the last little bit. I think I'm probably not going to add too much more wood to this because this was just intended to be an hour or so, and well, we're we're getting up there right now. But I am going to stoke it up and make it a little warmer. Good to see you, Tiger Stripes. Welcome. Yeah, I do like BC. The East Coast has a little more seafood, but when I lived in Victoria on Vancouver Island, there was quite a bit of seafood there that was readily available. You could go down to Fisherman's Wharf in Victoria, and all kinds of fish and chips shops there. No clams and chips, oddly enough. On the East Coast, you get fried clams, and that's a big deal. Not really a thing that I've seen on the West Coast, although PvP maybe had different, different places than I do. But I do enjoy the deep fried clams of the East Coast and the lobster. But the West Coast, mind you, the West Coast has red snapper or snapper, which I haven't seen a lot of on the East Coast. At least growing up, there wasn't. And halibut. I know halibut on the West Coast is a big thing, and that is delicious. I love the halibut. That is absolutely delicious. Me too, Canadian Spider-Man, as far as membership with the TCRC. Yeah, agreed. Saying hello. And Wes Cagle says, Canadian Spider-Man. Oh, man. I remember Woodsy the Owl, right? Help spread the word. Never be a dirty bird in the city or the woods. That's right. Help keep America and Canada clean. That is something that needs to be. Maybe they could teach a little bit of that in school as opposed to some of the silliness. Lisa, that was Cody Iron Eyes. He was also an actor when he could find work. Oh, right, the native American that was telling us not to pollute in the public service announcements. Right, Cody Iron Eyes. Now that is a memorable name. Thank you for that tidbit, Susan Dolan. Saying hello to everyone. And PvP alcohol, sadly, I can relate. Yeah, it's expensive here, and they are January 1st. You know what? They're gonna increase the tax on alcohol. So if there was ever a reason for me to cut down, they're sure giving me reasons, PvP. The tax is going up yet again. And I was watching a program, and they claimed that the alcohol tax on beer in British Columbia is up around 50%. 50% of the price in beer, and it was even higher for wine. Some wines, it's up to 70% or higher. Is tax. So if they're going to increase it in January like they're planning to, you know what? Maybe I'm just going to drink a little less, and that'll be good all the way around, perhaps. Or I know some people that tend to brew their own, and maybe I'll be visiting them and happy to support them as well. So, yeah, alcohol is definitely an expense up here. 50-50 there in Ireland, Sonia. Oh, Sonia, you're in Ireland. Love it. Love Ireland. Did a road trip around there. It's crazy how narrow your roads are. And the speed limit's 70 kilometers an hour. And it's like a frigging racing track because in Ireland, where all the places I was, there's like a ditch or a farmer's fence or like an embankment, an earth embankment where they've cut into the hillside. You're on a track. In Canada here, you can go off the road. You know, if there's an animal on the road, a lot of places you can go off the road and it's not that big a deal. But in Ireland, you're boxed in and you're doing 70 kilometers an hour. And so are the people behind you and in front of you. And you can't see what's coming up next. You hope there's not a sheep in the road. Yeah, nuts. So yeah, I loved Ireland though. And I was the designated driver because my girlfriend was Japanese and she didn't drive very well in that environment. And my other buddy, he didn't know how to drive on that side of the road. He had no experience. So I was the designated driver, which if you're going to do a road trip of Ireland, was not the best plan. Not the best plan. We ended up sleeping in the car a lot because I wasn't able to drive. Tiger Stripe says, Susan Dolan, Iron Eyes Cody was a Sicilian. Yeah. We like Sicily. Oh, Sicily's I might be headed for Sicily in February. I'd like to. I haven't been that far south in Italy, and I was thinking of Greece and Sicily this winter. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how the credit card is. Saying hello to everyone. Welcome. The fire just fell apart here, so I gotta just take care of this. Pardon me. Oh yeah. There's still lots of heat. Lots of heat here. Oh yeah, that's still a hot fire. Okay. And getting back to the chat, Susan Dolan says he did a fantastic job. Oh, you're talking about Iron Eyes. Stayed with me all these years. I need to dig that PSA out of the vault. Yeah, I'd like to see some of those old ones again. Yeah, definitely. Oh, Zombie Box Reviews. I live in Scotland. Oh, man. Well, it just so happens that just before I did a road trip of Ireland, I did a road trip of Scotland. And that was fantastic. Shout out to Callum Ferguson. Good friend of mine. He gave me a tour. I believe he's in Glasgow now. He was giving me a tour of all around Glasgow. And indeed, we did Edinburgh, all around there. Fantastic. I got up as far as the Highlands. I did get up to see Loch Ness. It was beautiful up there. And a little place called Glencoe. That's in the Highlands as well, up above Inverness. And that's where the McDonald's were massacred by, was it the who massacred the MacDonald clan? It was the Duncans. Anyway, that was a bad scene. My family heritage, we shared some links with the McDonald's, so that was the site of quite a massacre there. And there's still signs around the town and the pubs saying, whatever clan did the murdering, I forget. Not welcome here. Damn, that'll come to me. But I almost had it. Yeah, that was great for hiking. Went all through Scotland and did some wicked hiking up around Glencoe. Small little community. Some of the best, most atmospheric pubs with the low earthen like timber and earthen ceilings. The walls were earth and timber and just really old. Fantastic pub atmosphere. So loved Scotland for the castles, the pubs, the wilderness. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And Ireland too. I mean, along the Giant's Causeway, the cliffs of Moher. I mean, as far as natural beauty, Ireland and Scotland both have a lot to offer. So I was thrilled to be able to explore them. And it was only for a few weeks in each case. But I could have spent a couple of years in Scotland and Ireland for that matter. And that's my other side. Actually, I'm half Irish through my heritage, half Irish, half Scottish, going back, I think, to my great-grandparents. So a few generations ago. Why they came to Canada and not friggin' Australia, where it's a lot warmer, I don't know. But, yeah. Happy you can come and go freely again in Canada. Yes, Tiger Stripes, same here. That was the greatest restriction on our freedoms. That is absolutely entrenched in our Constitution, our freedom of movement within Canada. And I've come to realize in the last 3 years that our Constitution is just a friggin' piece of paper and it means absolutely nothing. Nothing. It's got no power. I was prevented from going and visiting my parents, and they are older. And for 3 years, I couldn't go see them. They live in Canada. I was not allowed to go and see them, my own parents, my own family in New Brunswick on the East Coast. My government said that I couldn't go and see them. That violates I studied the Constitution, the Canadian Constitution. my degrees in my minors in political science, um, we have the right to travel freely in this country at all times. And how they were able to get away with that, it makes me want to have a backup plan to get the hell out of Canada. Absolutely. I've got that plan in the works. Yeah, if they're not going to follow the Constitution, any country, if you're not going to follow the Constitution in that gives people their rights, I'm not going to live there. Sorry. Yes, I would like to see something else that Iron Eyes was in. That I'm glad that you gave us that information. Uh, Cody Iron Eyes, the native that was encouraging us not to pollute. That's an excellent name to know. Thank you for that. I think it was Susan Dolan. Uh, when you say the east coast of Mexico, are you talking the Caribbean off the Yucatan Peninsula or the Gulf Coast? Good point. Thank you. I am specifically talking about the Yucatan Peninsula. Yeah, Quintana Roo, where the cenotes are fantastic. I spent a lot of time. That's where Puerto Morelos is. Uh, Playa del Carmen, Cozumel. I just released a video yesterday about some scuba diving off the island of Cozumel. Uh, and so, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I would like to explore more of the Gulf Coast. I did get to stop there for a few days on the bus, and I'd like to spend more time there. And also Oaxaca. Oaxaca is on the west coast of Mexico, and it's quite far down south, really far down south. You have Puerto Vallarta, and then you have Zihuatanejo, and then Acapulco, and then even further south is the coast of Oaxaca, and Puerto Escondido is I think one of the bigger towns there. And I'd love to go down there and see that. Hopefully this winter. It just depends on finances. But yeah, that's a good point. There are two distinct cultures. You're right, and I don't know enough about the Gulf of Mexico in that area to really comment on it. But the Yucatan, I've been visiting the Yucatan since the 80s. I think I was, or was it 89 or 90? It might have been 1990 when I first visited there as part of a carnival cruise. We stopped off in, coincidentally, Cozumel Island and Playa del Carmen. The Stampede in Calgary, do tell. Oh, Tiger Stripes. You don't know about the Calgary Stampede? You must. It is the biggest rodeo in the world. It is the biggest outdoor rodeo in all of the world. It goes for a week. It's in June. There are barbecues, free pancake breakfast throughout the city of Calgary. The rodeo ground. Everyone wears a cowboy hat. Everybody. It's just a great time. It's like a big celebration of barbecue and animals, and there's a large native culture component to it as well. In fact, I think there was half a dozen or a dozen teepees in one area for the Calgary Stampede. Then there's the horses section and the farm section, and barbecue everywhere, and free pancake breakfast all over the city for the whole week. I think that the Calgary's population doubles, and it's the biggest outdoor rodeo in the world. So I highly recommend it. Beginning of June. What a way to start off the summer. Highly recommend that. And Pleasant Valley Picker says, Gorilla's Random Thoughts is doing his Walton's review stream at 5 p.m. Pacific. You have a great time every Friday. Okay, great. All right, so that's in an hour and a half. Well, the fire's winding down here, and I might start it up again tonight. I just wanted to pop on and have a little fire this afternoon and just have a chat. And if I gave the impression that I didn't have a good time in the East Coast, that is absolutely not true. The East Coast of Canada growing up was probably the best childhood I could have asked for. Absolutely fantastic. But now I want the mountains. I want the outdoor recreation lifestyle. And so the West Coast is it for me. And also, you're allowed to, you don't have to conform quite as much when you live out on the West Coast. And that's my opinion. But yeah, I didn't mean to say that I didn't like the East Coast at all. My family and friends are still there, and I love the East Coast. One thing noticeably different is if someone pulls off the side of the road with car trouble on the East Coast, and you put your hood up, or you're broken down, and you stop people for help. Within one or two or three cars, within 3 cars, someone is going to stop for you on the highway, a complete stranger, and that is often not the case on the West Coast. In the East Coast, I've gone home, every year if I can, visiting my parents, or every couple of years, and you go up to a bus station, and you can talk anywhere you are. It doesn't matter. You don't stranger at the bus station, bus stop, on the side of the road, middle of nowhere. You can go up and you can talk to them, and you can ask them, questions about the bus or whatever you want to know, and they're happy to talk to you. And if you need help on the side of the road, you'll probably get 2 or 3 cars stopping and seeing if they can help, and you'll have to shoo them away because they just want to help. That is one thing I've noticed about the East Coast, that opposed to the West Coast. And that is what was so shocking during the pandemic, was those same people that will be more than proud to talk about how quickly people stop on the side of the road to help you when your car breaks down. These same people were the very first people to report you to the government if you weren't vaccinated, right? These were the very first people to say that people who didn't want to get vaccinated should be shot, literally, or arrested, or put in camps. These very same people. So, everything is very friendly as long as you fucking conform. As long as you conform, they're very friendly. Don't get me started. I'm a little emotional about that because I have torn loyalties here. Anyway, regardless, it's nice to know that all that is currently not the case, and everyone is back to being happy and friendly and supportive. And we certainly need a lot less division in this country. And I'm anxious to have people come together and be united like we were back in the 80s and 90s. Absolutely. No one cared what color Michael Jackson was. Love you, Cardinal Sin. Miss you, says Tiger Stripes. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. Every time I have a fire, I think of Gil and Cardinal Sin and streaming with him. Okay, we're going to wrap this up here. It is 3:30, and we'll just get to the end of the chat here. Oh, sorry. PvP says, I made the mistake of going to Hamilton, Ontario, checking out cheap real estate. Big mistake. Hamilton, Ontario. I don't know much about Hamilton. And rightfully, Tiger Stripes says, why would that be a big mistake? And then she also says, Susan Dolan, it's an easy name to get backwards as it goes. The names go. Yes. William Shakespeare Burke says, Spidey, you will love Argentina when you get there, not if, when. You're right. You're right. You do say. It is a when. It's not an if. Yep. I will spend all my fortune traveling till I can't move anymore. Absolutely right. Meeting people and sampling food all over the earth. Yeah. I don't care if I've got a penny to put in my shoe. I'm still going to go traveling. Absolutely. And while you're down there, you've got to go visit Uruguay as well. Both are very enchanting countries. I believe that, William Shakespeare. And there's some French countries along the coast that I can never remember as well, up in the Northeast, that I'd like to go see as well. And Tiger Stripe says, Lisa, where's anyone these days telling people not to litter? It's a forgotten trend. Lady Bird Johnson made it her mission to tell people when she was first lady. Right. You're kidding, Edge of Time. In England, Smacky the Frog is the fire prevention mascot. That is awesome. Smacky the Frog? I hope you mean Smacky and not Smoky. Smacky, like if you're careless with fire, the frog comes up and smacks you. Smacky the Frog. I like that. I hope it is Smacky, not Smoky. Tiger Stripe says, I was willing to wear a COVID mask, but I'm reasonably sure they make no difference. Yeah, the Cochrane Institute. The Cochrane Institute studied 70 worldwide studies If you're unfamiliar with the Cochrane Institute, they are the gold standard of scientific testing. They're internationally known to be impartial. They do double-blind actual science, and their findings were pretty conclusive. They did huge research into this, and they released their report. And yeah, they do cause people to breathe in a lot of microplastics, and the Japanese have started doing studies on that too. And there's a lot of concern about that. So yeah, they possibly do a lot more harm than good. But yeah, as far as stopping the spread, it was put to me, it was like throwing Smarties through a chain link fence. The mask isn't going to stop shit. Viruses are so much smaller than bacteria. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and their reports were pretty conclusive. But our government didn't give us any evidence. They just made dictates. It wasn't even debated in Parliament. That's what burns my ass. It wasn't even debated in Parliament. Diplomatic, democracy out the window. I would have liked to have seen the evidence that they were basing their decisions on, but they just gave us orders and didn't feel the need to give us any evidence. And shockingly, the Canadian population didn't really demand it either, and that's on us. That is on us as a population. We just took it up the ass without any explanation. And PvP says, well, at my age, I figured safe than sick. Absolutely, PvP. And I would never tell anyone not to wear a mask. I would never make fun of anyone doing that if they felt generally that it was benefiting them. Absolutely. I would never tell anyone. And in the same token, if I feel like I want to start wearing a friggin' tinfoil hat, I would expect people to allow me to do that and not demand that I take it off. And I would never demand that anyone would take the mask off either, regardless of my views on it. 3 of my coworkers at the office got the virus and they were pretty ill. Yeah, that's when you're sick, you really learn to value how important your health is. I don't really get sick. I haven't been sick since I was a kid, fortunately. Got pretty good immunity. I think it's from eating stuff off the ground in multiple different countries around the world is what I'm going to chalk that up to, and possibly genetics. But I've had broken foot before, and not being able to move around sucks. Your health. You don't realize how important your health is until you don't have it. So, yep, good point, PvP. Good to see you too. It is good to see you, Tiger Stripes. And we're gonna get through these chats because I gotta finish up here. You can never have a campfire that's too big. Well, the local authorities and your neighbors might have something to say about that during fire ban, but in general, I would agree with that sentiment. Spidey, when I lived in Vancouver for 5 years, the seafood was plentiful and great. Granville Island had some amazing seafood vendors. They do. There is seafood on the West Coast, as I said, especially the halibut, fantastic, and the snapper, which you don't get on the East Coast as much. But the East Coast, the seafood is even more prevalent, as much as you can find it in Vancouver and Victoria, for that matter. On the East Coast, it's even more so, with the scallops and the clams especially. And it was just, and the lobster. Actually, I'm going home. I'm going home for Christmas. I'm going back to Fredericton 1 week from now, and I'll continue to broadcast from there. I'll take my laptop with me, but I'm gonna hit the lobster. I think day 1 or day 2. As soon as I'm back, and Mom makes this seafood chowder that beats the pants off of anything I've ever paid money for in any fancy Whistler 5-star restaurant. She puts everything, every kind of seafood you can imagine, goes into that seafood chowder. It's a cream-based seafood chowder. There's mushrooms in there, and then basically seafood. And holy shit. I want to say it is the best. She couldn't sell it because it'd be $100 a bowl. There's everything in there. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm glad Mom is still able to make that and still get all the ingredients. The seafood is still plentiful enough. You can still do that on the East Coast. But yes, you're right, PvP. Absolutely. There's a lot of fish and seafood around Victoria and Vancouver. Just the East Coast is a whole nother level, man. Tiger Stripe says, in case I got a terrible case of COVID from going to a club in 2021. For the first time in ages, I did not wear a mask and I got COVID. That's yeah, that could be coincidental. I would assume. Uh, what else were you doing during that time? It all depends. And it's a virus. If humans think that they're going to be able to stop the spread of a virus by our actions, that is pure fucking hubris. Sheer hubris. It's a virus. There's a few things you can do, but it ain't going to make a hill of beans of difference in the end. And I think that was proven many, many times. No, they didn't make any difference. A doctor on YouTube did a video where he put on 5 masks and then breathed into a glass plate and he still fucked up. Yeah, that's true. Smarties through a chain link fence is the image that stays with my mind and the way it was explained. So yeah, to see that. When COVID started, I researched the Spanish flu. I learned that everyone then wore a mask and the mask made zero difference. That is true. Having said that, if someone wants to wear a mask, if that makes them feel better, I would never tell them not to. And just the same, I don't want to be told to wear one. I would never tell anyone not to wear one. And don't tell me what to do either. You tell me what to do, that's a guaranteed way of making sure I'm going to do exactly the opposite. Not because I'm a child, but because I've studied this. I've seen this around the world. I've visited, I think, all the communist countries. North Korea doesn't count because it's a totalitarian state. So I've seen communism. I've visited all the museums. Yeah. Freedom is everything to me. I will sacrifice everything for freedom. And I will. You try and tell me what to do, you're going to have a bad time. It's not going to go the way you think it's going to go. Yeah, of course, PvP. That's the great thing about the people that I know on YouTube. We have different opinions. We have very fucking different opinions. Just bring up the topic of pineapple on pizza or candy corn. You want to see arguments break out? Holy shit. However, we still all respect each other's opinion. And for the most part, we avoid ad hominem attacks. That is, attacking the person's character instead of their actual argument. And I think for the most part, we do a good job of that to the people that I hang out with. And, you got to be able to listen to other people's opinions, no matter what they are. Agreed. So good point, PvP. Thank you. Susan Dolan, says Tiger Stripes. It's just if I'd worn a mask in the club and I still got COVID, then I'd know that it hadn't made a difference. Yeah, exactly. And like the science is, there are Research Cochrane Institute. They looked at a lot of studies from all over the place. But again, as long as they don't tell me to wear a mask, I won't tell them not to. I wouldn't think of doing that. I've got zero problem with someone wearing a mask even today. Yep, absolutely. PvP and Tiger Stripes the same. The masks back in the Spanish flu perhaps weren't as good. That is absolutely probably true. Sheep. Don't hit me. Yeah. Oh, you know what? We have seafood in Canada, but we don't have enough lamb. Living in Australia and Japan even, there was lamb all over the place. Carla Burton, I'm sure, will tell us that New Zealand has lamb. PvP, I don't know what it's like around your area, but here, not a lot of lamb, and that is something that I do wish we had more of. I do love that lamb. William Shakespeare. Okay, we got to get through this chat here, folks, because I'm running out of time and this fire is dying down. And I don't want to step on anyone else's toes who might be streaming. I know Admiral Teague and Doomcock are streaming here pretty quick. William Shakespeare says there are 2 taxes on hard liquor in WA, Western Australia. Washington State, you mean? Sorry. That's right. You're just down in Washington State. The total comes to 30%. It went higher. I'd learned to distill my own. That is happening around here, William Shakespeare. That is happening around here. And PvP says, just to get through the chat here, almost hit a deer once in Vernon, jumped out in front of me, slammed on the brakes. That happens all the time. That's why I have no problem hunting deer, because there are a lot of them around, and there's not a week goes by, there's not a new deer that gets hit on the road. I saw one yesterday, as a matter of fact. Tiger Stripe says PvP early on the pandemic. I heard this: wearing a mask to stop the virus is like putting up a chain link fence to stop mosquitoes. That's also, but you know what? I never saw the evidence. I'd like to see the evidence. If you're gonna force us to do something, which I'm not in agreement with, at least put up the evidence. No evidence. There was misinformation on both sides. You're right, PvP. There was misinformation. The problem I have with that is one side was allowed to shut down the other side. The other side didn't have that power. So that was a little in balance there. And again, that's if I move from Canada, that'll be the reason. But I took wearing masks seriously. I got a face sealing mask with replaceable filters. Ooh, okay, that's the good kind, Tiger Stripes. People would stare. But no, these fabric masks folks wearing were not helpful. There seems to be a lot of consensus about that. Loch Ness, I'd love to see that someday. Well, okay, we are a little behind the chat. Let's speed it up here. Warp speed. Take it up to warp 7. Tiger Stripes, I know the kind you mean. When I used to do woodworking on more masks like that. Yeah, for dust, for wood dust. Especially cedar PvP. I've heard cedar, the dust in cedar, because the oils that preserve the cedar wood make it good for fence posts and so forth. Those same oils are carcinogenic. And so when the cedar wood dust in particular gets in your lungs, that's really bad for you. So yeah, if you're going to wear a mask to stop the dust from wood, that's just a smart play. I'm all up, my career working maintenance and construction. A lot of my roles for various companies, including for Whistler Blackcomb, was safety advisor or safety manager, and PPE, man, personal protective equipment, masks, safety glasses, earplugs. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about those. You're absolutely right. Susan Dolan says, I caught COVID too in 2020, 2021. I was sick for 5 days with dry heaves. Oh man, sorry to hear that, Susan. Fridays I drank water to hydrate and slept like a log for 24 hours on Saturdays. That's what you got to do. Fortunately, I had COVID and I had a scratchy throat for a couple of days. It still didn't stop me from streaming. Yeah, the McDonald massacre was the one Martin used as inspiration for the Red Wedding, I think. Okay, right. Yeah, the McDonald clan. Massacre of Glencoe. Government agents from yesteryear. Disney Sheeper says yes. Okay, so we're... I'm about 20 minutes behind in the chat. I apologize. I've been taking D3 and vitamin C on a fairly regular basis and haven't been sick since. Good plan. I've been reading a lot about vitamin D, Susan Dolan. Yeah, been reading a lot about vitamin D. And yeah, I would encourage people to do their own research about that. Yep, I'm a believer. Susan Dolan, that's a bad one. I was sick for 8 weeks. I think it was the Delta variation. It was very bad. Gave it to my brother, and I'm not sure he's recovered to this day. Yeah, I've got a few people that still have trouble smelling things. Tiger Stripes, you're right. Half English here, says PvP. My mom was born in England. Whoa. So that means you could get a dual citizenship perhaps, or a visa. Unfortunately, my parents were both Canadian, so I don't get a visa for anywhere else but Canada. And I mean that in the best positive way. Tiger Stripe says, Susan Dolan, I had us on vitamin and high-dose melatonin protocol at the time, but I doubt very much that even if I get COVID again, I'll be as sick. Antibodies for the win. That's right, and more research has been coming out about antibodies and how helpful they are and the wide spectrum of coverage they give. And I'm learning a lot more about antibodies and how they work. And again, I love biology. It's fascinating. Even just for interest's sake, it's fascinating stuff to read up on. It really is. And the point is, we really don't know. We still don't know a whole lot. We're learning more every day. So anyone that comes along and says, the science is settled, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about. We're still asking questions, and so we should. So we should be asking questions. If we're gonna follow science, we got to ask questions. Compared to so many other countries, our freedom is still pretty good. Remember all the millions in totalitarian regimes. Yeah, you're right. You're right. It is still pretty good, but it's scary how much freedom they can take away. And so I am ready at the drop of a hat to move the hell out of Canada. Because when they start telling me what I can say and where I can go in my own country, now we've got a problem. You're telling me who I can go, that I can't go see my parents, we've got a fucking problem. Tiger Stripe, same here. Omicron didn't want a piece of me. Well, that is good. That is good, Susan. Carla Burton says, because we weren't vaccinated, we couldn't go to the U.S. for 3 years either, and we couldn't stop in many shops in New Zealand. I didn't get a haircut for a year. Yeah, me. You know what? I stopped shaving for probably 6 months and stopped cutting my hair for a couple of years. It was getting pretty scruffy. Yeah, definitely. It was a dark period for personal grooming. Carla Burton, you're right. Tiger Stripe says, Susan Dolan, very glad to hear it. Again, early on in the pandemic, I did research and read that people who had survived the previous SARS viruses still had antibodies, even many years later. That is what we're learning. That is more and more what I'm reading, Tiger Stripes, yes. PvP says, I remember Ed Ames, who played the Mingo Daniel Boone's Native American friend in that series. Oh, yeah, Daniel Boone. Yeah, I remember that. The American television showed Daniel Boone. That was a good show, PvP. I was in the early 80s, I think. He played the character so well, I didn't realize he was actually of Ukrainian heritage. You're kidding. That is interesting. Ed Ames. Huh. I'll be damned. Thanks, PvP. Appreciate that. Tiger Stripe says, Carla Burton, very glad to hear it. Carla, I was about to get the jab, and my brother said sadly to me, I'll miss you when you're gone, so I'm glad now that I didn't. Yeah, and that's got to be a personal choice. I would never tell people not to take it, and I wouldn't expect anyone to be telling me to take it. They say Scots Irish were the largest demographic and supporters of the Revolutionary War in America. I believe that, Edge of Time. I believe that would probably be true. I believe that. Carla Burton's, I understand that of everywhere in the world, the New Zealand lockdown was the most severe. I feel for you and your family. Yeah, Quebec got it pretty hard lockdown too, Tiger Stripes, surprisingly. Canadian Spider-Man, neat. I love a good rodeo. Sounds fantastic. Oh, yeah, Tiger Stripes. The Calgary Stampede, first weekend of June. Biggest rodeo in the world. They still have the chuck wagon races. I've always wanted to go to a powwow. Yes, they have a big native contingent at the Calgary Stampede. And the barbecue, one popular item is turkey legs, barbecued turkey legs, like this friggin' big. They're all over the Stampede. Highly recommended. Carla Burton says, shoot, Tiger Stripes, your brother is clever and you were wise to heed his words. My husband is about to get chemo for follicular lymphoma, which I believe was caused by the vax. Oh, man, Carla, well, shit. Nothing but the best for him. I've been doing some reading up, and it seems there might be some scientific evidence as to why what you're saying here could be very well true. And I think we need to get a whole lot more research going. There could very well be a link to that, and we need to research that. Governments, NGOs, everybody should be all over that. And I hope nothing but the best for your husband, Carla. That is, it really hits home when it gets that serious for someone that you care about. Tiger Stripes, says Susan Dolan. The last time I got a flu shot was swine flu after the Vietnam War. One shot and I was good to go. The booster shot is, no one needed boosters for smallpox, measles, etc. Yeah, that's one difference, isn't it? You don't need a booster every 6 months for those things. Thanks, Tiger Stripes. Melbourne, Australia, New Zealand were the worst. Yeah, Melbourne. I've got friends in Melbourne. Shout out to Harry and Lorraine. And they were no doubt locked down pretty hard. Fortunately, where I live, there is no authorities. There's the occasional RCMP cruiser that comes by, but there's no authorities out here to tell us what to do. And in my circle of friends, there's no one really old or infirm. We're all of good health. So we just carried on as normal during the lockdowns. And good luck telling us not to. You better move in here with an army, because that's the only way that's going to happen. I'm sorry to hear that. Prayer for your husband's return to health. Yes, Carla, I think we can all agree with Tiger Stripes on that one. Yeah, I think we can agree. Hang out with Newfies and drink Screech, Spidey. PvP, I haven't. Newfoundland's the one place in Canada, one province I haven't been to, and I haven't been to Nunavut or Northwest Territories either. And that's on the bucket list. Before too long, I would like to visit those places. And Screech, anyone who doesn't know, they scrape the bottom of the rum barrels and mix it, and that's how they get overproof screech, and it's famous in Newfoundland. And apparently, it is the cause of many a good time. And PvP, if you happen to get a bottle of screech, you let me know, and I'll come visit, and we'll have to live stream while we drink that. I'd be up for that, buddy. Thanks, Tiger Stripes, because they're such liars about the vax, no one will ever know properly. That's the thing, Carla. Even if some of the things they said were true, there were so many lies and misinformation about it without showing the evidence that they just shot themselves in the foot. The credibility is down to nothing, isn't it? It's really down to nothing, and that's not necessarily a good thing either. So I guess people are just gonna have to start doing their own research about everything. And that's East Canada. Yes, I'm talking. Fredericton, New Brunswick is Eastern Canada. There's Maine and New Brunswick actually share a north-south border, a vertical border between America and Canada. And so right above Boston, right beside Maine is New Brunswick. You have to drive through New Brunswick to get to Halifax in Nova Scotia. Everything will be fine so long as you follow government orders and keep your mouth shut. Lovely. Exactly, William Shakespeare. That's coming back to bite them on the ass, because now people just don't believe anything they say. Even if it happens to be true, we're not going to believe it. Yep, our neighbor was like that. She wouldn't even hug me because I was unvaxxed. Yeah, Carla Burton, that is sad. It's quick. They quickly turned, didn't they? They quickly fucking turned. I expected more from Canadians. I really did. And they turned quickly on each other. They were quite happy to report each other. And I understand. I've been to Germany. I've been to Auschwitz. That's a whole different stream. You know what? I'm going to put a pin in that. We're going to talk about that in another live stream. Maybe later tonight. Because I don't want to. I saw footage of Australians in COVID camps. Absolutely horrible. Yeah, I agreed. The Australians were super zealous. Yeah, agreed. PvP says, I got a used truck on auto dealers and the gas gauge was off. Ran out of gas near Revelstoke. A guy pulled up within a few minutes and called the auto club so I could get towed into town. That is good, PvP. That's awesome. And that still does exist in BC. You're absolutely right, and that is good. It's just it's again a whole nother level on the East Coast. That is excellent. Hey, and Revelstoke, that's a good spot to be, PvP. Good mountains up there. Kicking Horse Mountain, beautiful. I remember wiping down all the groceries with alcohol, just crazy. Yeah, me too. Me too. Beer cans, everything, wiping everything down. Agreed. Had to shop every day because we had 12 people living in our household, mostly adults, and they just go through tons of food. Yes, that happens. Hamilton was a dump back then. Lots of crime. Met a cool lady cop on the street. She said she had 2 Dobermans to keep her home safe. Dogs are an excellent way of keeping out criminals and bears around here. Carla Burton, that's got to be a full-time job to feed a house of 12. Yeah, indeed, Tiger Stripes. She warned me many parts of Hamilton were dangerous. That is too bad, PvP. I haven't been there, but I'd like to visit it someday. Fortunately, we're down to 10 now. Most people we had staying in our house was 22 in one weekend. Holy crap. All right, chat. I'm going to try and wrap this up here real quick. Since Australia was founded as a penal colony, just like here in America before the Revolution, England dumped rapists, murderers, and even con men, prostitutes to lower criminal population. Yeah, I believe that, Susan. I visited Port Arthur is a penal prison site in Tasmania in Australia. That was a hell of a tour. I highly recommend it. Good diving in that area, too. Good scuba diving. Pleasant Valley Picker. It's very sensible to drive by an area that you want to buy property in at all hours, night and day. Just check out the atmosphere of the neighborhood. Good point, Tiger Stripes. That is actually a good point. I'm going to spend personally, I'm never going to own property. I'm going to spend it all on travel. But for those buying property, that is actually a good tip. I would support that. We do give out real estate advice on this channel. We give out financial advice. I give out medical advice. You don't have to listen to me, but I definitely have no problem giving it all kinds of advice. Just take it for what it's worth, folks. Exactly, Canadian Spider-Man, ours too. Jacinda Ardern had to quit because she can't go anywhere in this country because now she's hated over COVID. Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot, If they hadn't have forced it down, we might have listened to them a little bit. I respect others' right to have their opinions, even if I disagree. That's called absolutely PvP. Thank you for that. Thank you. It's called being an adult, isn't it? Right? I wish our leaders would hear you say that. Maybe send them an email to remind on all sides, PvP, provincial and federal. If you could send them that in an email, that'd be awesome. Canadian Spider-Man, don't eat stuff off the ground. No, that's how I get my immunity, Tiger Stripes. I was on a train platform in Berlin, and I was running to the train. It was a 4-hour train ride. There was no food on the train. I was starving, had a hot dog, a sausage. I've told this story before, and it rolled out off of the bun because I was running on the train platform in Berlin. I grabbed it, put it back in the fucking bun in front of everybody, got on, much to the horror of my girlfriend at the time, ate it. I was just fine. Boosts your immunity. Trust me. You can have enough fire to melt a laptop camera, can't you? Yes, that has happened, Carla, and the microphone. That has happened. Salmon to Spidey. Love salmon. We have great salmon. We do have great salmon. Atlantic salmon that my father caught on the East Coast, I would have to say is the best I've ever had. To each their own, but when a suspicious virus to be controlled by a miraculous cure, I'll take me chances. Vitamins, especially zinc. Zinc is important. Wash hands and stop touching your face. Yes, good old washing your hands with soap and water. I agree with that. I eat fish just for the halibut. Yes, Edge of Time, it is. Halibut is fantastic. I went halibut fishing once off the coast of Victoria. Didn't catch anything but a little baby seal. I put it back, of course. But it is delicious. And they get huge. They get like 300-400 pounds. They're massive. Love lobster in butter sauce. Yes. Seafood. Yeah, we all need to eat maybe more of it. That's what I agree about Mexico. There's lots of seafood down there. Take care, Disney Sheepherder. Good to see you all. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. We have been 1 hour and 41 minutes, and it is getting chilly out here. It's getting dark. I'm just going to make sure that we've covered the chat. I really appreciate the chat participation. I do. I'm just doing a really shitty job of keeping up with it because you're so active. Unless you wear a level 4 containment suit like they use at CDC when handling things like Marburg, Ebola, and Montavirus, or hantavirus, you're not going to be completely protected from the Chinese flu. Agreed, West Kegel. Yep, agreed. And even then, right? I mean, they still manage to have lab leaks, don't they? Beer battered deep fried catfish. Ooh, I'd be up for trying that, Susan Dolan. I'd love to do a trip through the South. Burning shoelaces? No, not yet, but that has happened at this bonfire before. Phantom Boomer, hey, hello, and hi. Thanks for joining us, man. Good to see you. A mask work for bacterial or large stuff like phlegm and blood. Yes, but viruses are thousands of times smaller. So good point. The N95 still has a percent chance of not stopping virus. That is true. Even that mask. None of it's foolproof. That's why we have leaks and lab leaks. Hail Phantom Boomer, says Edge of Time. Mark D and C is, how about clam pizza? I have had clam pizza, Mark D with the C, and it is damn good. Millions have died to defend freedom and respect their values and sacrifice. Absolutely, PvP. And I have never been brave enough to serve myself, but I have respect for all those that have, including our mutual friend Rod Thunderheart and many others. I'm good friends with a lot of people in the military. Shout out to John. And yeah, I'm not trying to be rude. Let's just get through these chats because my fingertips are getting cold. England dumped their human garbage in both America and Australia. That is true. Before that happened, there were good relations between Native Americans and the Pilgrims. They helped each other out. Yes, that is, man, I'd love to learn more about that history. I did study some of it, and that is a good point, Susan Dolan. That is right. And no matter what, in one group of people, you're always going to have, in groups of people, you're always going to have people, even though they're in different groups, they're going to have like thinking, similar thinking. There's always ways to build bridges between communities. Absolutely. And that's how mankind got to where we are, right? I mean, we'd still be cavemen. Pineapple on pizza, just made that last night. Canadian bacon, in fact, no kidding. That is a damn good idea. That is the one acceptable use for Canadian bacon. That sounds right. I remember pre-pandemic, a friend noted that the virus wasn't just in spray, it was airborne. I remember feeling a bit shocked by that. That is true. They are coming out now that the virus is so small that it can rise up in when you breathe out, you're breathing out warm air. It's usually warmer than surrounding air, and it does rise. The small particles, heat goes up. They are finding more and more of that. Yes, absolutely. It is not just the spray. Primarily, it is airborne, which is kind of, yeah. Mucho family that got all the shots, wore the masks, and still got COVID more than once. All the age groups also. Yes, Phantom Boomer, that is true. In fact, there are studies coming out now out of Israel. There's a study coming out of Oxford University that was just released in conjunction with the University of Chicago and University of Toronto, saying that people that have been jabbed 4 and 5 times are actually getting more sick than people that haven't been. So I'd like to have that investigated by all levels of government. If there's any truth to that, that is concerning. And they gave scientific reason for that. I won't go into it here, but look up the LGG4 antibody. The LGG4. It is a suppressor antibody. It does explain. If that is the case, that would explain it. There's a lot of things that need to be researched. Yeah, the more we learn, the better, and follow the evidence, even if it goes against something I believe. I'm gonna follow the evidence, even if I don't like it. That's not what science is about. I studied science all my life. Don't feel the first waves of pilgrim were garbage. I believe they were seeking religious freedom. It was bad in England at the time. They risked their lives to come here. You're right. And the Irish were actually the first slaves to come to North America. The Irish were subhuman, according to the English. Chain link fences only stop Texas mosquitoes. Yes, they are big there. I believe that, Phantom Boomer. But when unrepentant criminals got dumped on both shores, they took advantage of the natives, murdered, stole, and pasted on diseases that they had no immunity to. Yep, passed on diseases, I assuming what you're saying. I found it stupid to test for an incurable virus. Yep. The Phantom Boomer Explorers, yeah, the mosquitoes here in Texas are pretty darn big. I'd love to live in Texas. I mean, notwithstanding the pandemic, I've lived in other countries, Japan, America, Australia, and I would love to live in America too. You've only got one life. So I want to live to see what it's like to live as a Texan, as a Frenchman in Paris, all kinds of places. Great. You have COVID? Sorry, nothing can be done for you. Yeah. Well, eat right, exercise, get sleep. The only time I can afford a hamburger in the state fair, a lamb burger, is the state fair. Not enough mutton to keep the price down in the USA. Yes, Edge of Time. Agreed. Same here. Mutton is expensive. All right, chat. Gonna wrap this up. Debate is fundamental to democracy. Yes, Pleasant Valley Picker. And I had friends, I had family members that when I asked questions, just asking fucking questions about safe and effective, they would literally shut down the debate and walk away. And some of these people I have respect for, but yeah, debate is fundamental to democracy. Agreed. Hey, Pop says, Edge of Time. Cedar is beautiful, but wood is nasty dust. Yes, it is. Oh, okay, we're about 15 minutes behind in the chat. Oh, damn, I'm not making much progress here. Yes, I could go on and on about how the hospitals literally strap people down and wait for them to die. Yeah, you're right, Tiger Stripes, and that's coming out more and more. Stop working with 10 years. Got allergic to the dust? Yes, PvP. Absolutely. That is a real thing. Absolutely. Even with a mask. Agreed. Yep, that is a real thing. Plants, you can develop allergies to them. 100%. Yes, they did not. Tiger Stripes says, Lisa, that and what they did at rest homes is criminal. Yes, it is. And that is coming out more and more. And no one is going there. They will ever pay for those. And yet no one is going there. They'll never pay for those crimes. Well, I'm still holding out hope, Tiger Stripes. Edge of Time, hello. Very true. They are never wrong. God help us now. The mayor of New York needs to be tried for murder. That is something that should be looked at, as well as other government officials, too. Science is not settled pretty much on anything. You're right. VP, hello. I concur. I try not to dwell on it because nothing can be done to hold the governments accountable, but we need to remember, yes, agreed. All right, folks, we are going to try and wrap this up. I went all ZZ Top during COVID. And Ames was a great singer. The Ames brothers were an act back in the day. Okay, cool. Thanks, Phantom. Phantom Boomer Explorers. Good brothers band. Love a good brothers band. Me too. Me too, man. The Doobie Brothers, all of those guys. The Williams Brothers. Yeah, the Bee Gees. Howdy. Hey, Rancor Steve. Good to see you. The fire's just dying down here. We're just winding it down. I know Admiral Teague is streaming right now, and I'm trying to shut this down. The comments have been interesting and fantastic, and so we're just gonna wrap this up real quickly here. It's time to go. Depends on who's paying the bills. If the money bags hate coffee, then coffee's bad. If money bags like tomatoes, then tomatoes are good. It's all a sham. Agreed, Susan Dolan. You won't get any argument out of me. Shakespeare says, I gotta head out now. Everyone has fun tonight. I'll be hanging around the evening to see you restart the fire, Spidey. Good to see you, William Shakespeareberg. It depends on how cold it gets. If it's freezing, I'll be inside. I need some Woodworth Reserve for that fire. Most manly, I know. Hey, man, that is awesome. That is some good stuff, Rancor Steve. I saw that bottle, the picture you posted, and that looks like really good stuff. I would love to have a drink with you about that, man. I should go and get the shingle shot. I had them once. It was not fun. Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. Just research everything about it, man, is all I can say. It makes me sad to ponder. Yeah, agreed. Hail, Rancor. Hail, everybody. All right, time to go, everybody. We got to get this wrapped up here. I'm freezing my fingers off, and this fire is dying down. Tiger Stripe says, do your research, please. I'm not clear on whether the shot would help or hurt you, but once you already had the shingles, that's true. I think everyone just do research as much as you can on anything you're really putting it into your body. Having said that, I should probably research more about alcohol if I want to be honest with myself. I had a really good doc before he retired. He never pushed the COVID jabs. He didn't bring it up, and neither did I. He was serious about shingles, though. That is interesting. Definitely talk with him if you can, Phantom Boomer. It definitely helps to get advice from people who have a education in the matter. That's the best when you have a doctor that you trust. Agreed, Tiger Stripes. New pneumonia strain coming. Be vigilant, be safe. Agreed, Lisa. Soap and water, man, and get exercise. Lisa G, did you hear about this pneumonia strain recently? Yeah, it's in China. I've heard about it. It's affecting the young kids. They couldn't get us with something that affected the old, so now they're going after something that affects the young, of course. You go east away from the coast, and California is fairly normal. I believe that, Phantom. I believe that. Yeah, well, hopefully not, Tiger Stripes. Kids with it and no symptomatic cough. Yeah, that is true, Lisa. Yeah. There's far too much being censored about the poke. Chris Rock got COVID after his first one. Fauci went straight to the hospital with COVID after his fourth, and General Powell died after number 3. Yeah, right. Yeah, interesting. Jacinda looks like a weirdo. Well, I think we can all agree with that. Starving 5-10 second rule. Yeah, agreed. I don't eat seafood. Did my fast food duty in fish and chips. Ooh, I like fish and chips. Clams and chips. Thank you. Fireside chats are the best. Well, the fire's died down pretty hardcore here, so we're gonna shut it down. Chinese flu. Yes, it's the Fauci flu. Yes, agreed. They did fund it, and a letter from the deputy energy minister has just been released. It was published, I believe, in 2019, warning Fauci that the funding they were providing to China was used to tamper with the COVID, novel COVID coronavirus. So that is pretty damning. When we look at that a little bit more, Fauci might be in big trouble. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Anyway, we gotta get out of here, folks. Gotta go make a cake. It's for my birthday on Sunday. Happy birthday, Tiger Stripes. You are not incredibly old. I think we're just around about the same age, more or less. Happy birthday. We'll make sure we'll see you again before Sunday. I've heard that the virus will mail itself to your home disguised as junk mail. It's very clever. I have heard that as well. Happy birthday, Tiger Stripes. Yes, Lisa, for Sunday. Yes. I'm watching a program last night that explained if you carry certain Neanderthal DNA, which is how I was learned to pronounce it in anthropology, Neanderthal DNA, you are more resistant. I would believe that. They were robust motherfuckers. 2 Becks I highly recommend. 1491 and 1493. Thank you, Phantom Boomer. Thank you. 1491 and 1493. All right. I'm attitudinally a Texan, but climatologically a San Diegan. Well, thank you for making me pronounce those words with a frozen mouth, Phantom Boomer. Take care. Take care, pop culture curator. Questions. How dare you question the message? I know, West Kegel, right? It got dark there in seconds. I know, it really did. The camera's making it look a lot more dark than it is. It's still not as dark as what the camera's making it look like. All right, folks, I gotta go. Shut down debate New Zealand because the truth and logic was against the propaganda and the narrative. That is true, Lisa. But they pulled the trigger too soon, and people are aware now. Canadian Spider-Man says Tiger Stripes. Love your bonfire live streams. Love you. Take care. It did get real dark real fast. Get baking. Tiger Stripes. Have fun, says Lisa. Yes. Karaoke. See you around. Happy holidays. Yes. Lisa, I hope so. Sometimes I take a night off. But to let my bro sleep. But I love to sing. Makes me happy. Excellent. All right, guys. We are going to wrap this up. Going over to Friday Night Frolics with Doomcock. Everyone have fun and see you at Friday Night Frolics. Yes, agreed. Your singing makes me happy too. I'm glad, folks. All right, thanks, everyone. See you later. See you later, Phantom Boomer. See you later, West Kegel. Good night. Good night, everyone. Thanks for being here. Rancor Steve, Pleasant Valley Picker. Thanks, everybody. We're going to get this fire going maybe after Doomcock. We'll see. It depends on how cold it gets. But we'll have a roaring fire if we do. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I appreciate it. If you like this, consider subscribing to the channel. And we'll do more of these. Good topic. We can talk about anything on this channel. I have no aspirations of getting monetized. YouTube can go fuck itself. But what I do insist upon is having everyone be able to express their viewpoints from all sides. Because debate and discussion without censorship is the only way that humanity is going to progress, right? I think we can agree on that. Yeah, that's right. We're going to end the stream with pleasant thoughts. I'm glad we're all friends here, and we're all adults, and I'm glad to see that. We'll get the fire going maybe a little later. If not tonight, sometime in the next couple days over this weekend. We'll get a rager going. I sound like Elon. Yeah, I do. Yeah, man, did you see that? I love that, man. That was awesome. Elon Musk, whether you like him or hate him, he's all about free speech. And so I'm a big fan of him for that. Go fuck yourself, Bob. Bob Iger, go fuck yourself. I can get behind that message. Shut up, Bob. Just entertain us. Just shut the fuck up and entertain us. That's right, Elon. Go fuck yourself. I agreed. Go fuck yourself, Bob. All right. And anyone who wants to shut down free speech and tell me what I have to do, go fuck yourself. That's right. Otherwise, anyone else is welcome around this fire at all times, even if you have different opinions. As long as you're not trying to tell us what to do. Have a good night, folks. Live long and prosper. Thanks for being here.